When do we talk about the fucking shows and movies? Thanks for the F shot. I don't know, but his arms are chewed off. Show me what you got. We'll drink it if you say.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Wasted Opinions. It's been a little while, I know. Today we're going to be talking about biopics or biopics. How do you say it? The right way? Or do you say biopics? Biopics is the right way, I'd say anyways. Today, biopics, actually not biopics. That's weird.
Biopic.
It sounds more scientific.
Biopic sounds like you're looking at pictures of fungi.
It's a bio picture, so it makes sense.
A biology picture? Yeah, you're right.
Biology. No.
Anyway, we're not here to discuss how to pronounce the words. We're here to talk about some of our favorite biopics and some ones that we didn't like and maybe ones that we would love to see in the future. Before we get started, we'll introduce ourselves. I am CountryBoy, and to my right, I don't know where I'm on your screen. Who's at the top?
I'm on top.
Well, do we have which one has a mustache?
Yeah, the guy with the mustache. So who are you then, Mr. at the top there?
I'm not crazy. I'm just a little unwell. I know right now you can't tell, but I'm LewisLightning.
And the last guy?
I always think I'm prepared for these, and then you guys always have better intros than me. I'm just a thick-dicked MussKeg. That's all I got.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we went already there. But before we get started, we all have a shot to take because that's what we do.
Yeah.
Here we go. Cheers, guys.
Nostrovia.
So I know some of us have seen more biopics, some of us have seen less. So there's no actual strong structure that we need to follow or anything. I personally am going to say one biopic that I like, one biopic I don't like, and I'm going to say one that I would love to see in the future. That's what I'm going to do. But you guys can do totally whatever you want.
Sure.
So does anybody want to start out? Or you want me to start?
I would like to start out if I could.
Please go ahead, MussKeg. It's all yours.
Because I didn't think about the idea of a don't like one, and I have one immediately that comes to my head. So I'll start off negatively, as I always do. The biopic I think I liked the least was the damn Elvis one that just came out, featuring Austin Butler as Elvis. Listen, I love Baz Luhrmann, and don't get me wrong, the actual style of it was cool. The style was cool, but I don't like Austin Butler. I didn't like his take on it. I love Tom Hanks. I thought he was terrible in that movie.
Horrible. Cartoonish.
Horrible.
Cartoonish.
And I don't know, it just, I think I had a little bit of a background where I really was cheering for Brendan Fraser to win the Oscar for The Whale because I thought he completely deserved it. And having seen it afterwards, I totally agree with myself. But I did not like the Elvis biopic. So
see,
that's one. Yeah,
I was gonna say that was my one that I didn't like either. Too was the Elvis one. As a character I wanted to see for years in a biopic was Elvis. I was like, yeah, this would be great. And then I knew Baz Luhrmann was making it. I do not like Baz Luhrmann.
Oh, really?
I hated The Great Gatsby.
I like Moulin Rouge.
Moulin Rouge wasn't so CG. Like he's using.
And there's that scene in Australia where Hugh Jackman like pours the water all over himself, and he just
that wasn't terrible yet. He got worse after Moulin Rouge, and I was not looking forward. This one it was like one long music video basically. I hated it. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It didn't really get.
I don't like when he did the
character.
split screens and everything like that. And
you know what? I never knew who Doja Cat was before that movie. Why the fuck was there a Doja Cat song in that movie? I mean, you got a multitude of Elvis songs you can throw in there. Why was Doja Cat in there? Made no sense.
To be perfectly honest, I don't really like Elvis's music too much. I mean, I like Can't Help Falling in Love, or yeah, that's what it's called, right? That's the name of it.
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah, it's a beautiful song. And I actually really liked Austin Butler as I thought he nailed it.
Okay, yeah, I
love that.
Okay, I thought he was okay. All right, I was really cheering for Brendan Fraser.
He was the one highlight I thought.
Tom Hanks almost ruined it. I love Tom Hanks. He ruined it for me. Sorry, Lou, you probably haven't seen it, I guess. Yeah.
So that was the one you hated. I'll jump on the hate train too with my other. This one isn't as much of a hate. It's more of a dislike. I wanted to like it so much. Bohemian Rhapsody. I wanted to like this movie so much more than I did. I did think that what the hell is the actor that did Rami Malek? I thought he did a terrific job actually as Freddie Mercury. but the movie around it was just so bland. Like it felt like it was. They didn't really want to dig into the dirt of the actual characters. They didn't really want to get into the meat and potatoes, the stuff that is the dark sides of the characters. It was so like almost like family friendly. I thought almost it was too cheesy.
Seemed like it was a made for TV movie. I don't
Basically,
Luke,
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you liked it though, right? Like
I haven't seen it.
oh, okay.
I want
Well,
to.
no, I don't want
want
to. I don't. The one thing I like to avoid is us talking too much about things somebody else hasn't seen. But you know, what I felt like Bohemian Rhapsody, they did two things, and Rhapsody apparently that's what I learned from it. They banked on two things. One, a great performance, really a great performance from Rami Malek, and two, a soundtrack. That's what they banked on.
Great soundtrack. You can't.
It was
deny
almost
that.
like you'd be watching a movie, you're like, oh, it's getting a little boring. But then they'd say, throw a Queen song in, you know?
Yeah,
Oh, they're
that's
having a big
basically what it
argument. Everybody's disagreeing and fighting. Okay.
All of a
now
sudden, another one bites the dust starts playing. It's
Yeah.
oh yeah, this is a good
let's
movie.
throw We Will Rock
It's a
You or
good
something
movie.
like
Yeah.
that.
Like they showed how they made We Will Rock You, and it was just so simple. It was like stomp stomp. Oh, that's a good beat. Let's do that again.
Yeah,
Let's
we're
keep
in a
going.
big
Whoa,
fight.
that's how we got the song. Come on. Is it really that?
Yeah.
That's really how
A
you
fight
guys
never
made this
ends
song?
that way. Fight's never like, ooh, that's great. Let's do it.
Come
I did
on.
like how they ended it with, the Live Aid.
Yeah,
concert. That was
yeah,
cool.
absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
So I know there's another thing that we kind of disputed about was what is a biopic? Is it about one character? Is it about a whole story? If it's a true story, we're sticking with more singular person stories. Is
I
what we're
will
kinda
say
doing.
too, the story about Freddie Mercury is the story of Queen too. That's why I don't mind that one as much.
It is. It does cover both, but it is definitely Freddie Mercury's story.
I fell asleep. Oh, I hate that.
So Lewis, I don't know what you have on the
For
docket.
hate.
I don't
What do you
like-
got for hate, Lou?
I don't have anything to really hate. I haven't seen a whole lot. Like there is more that I want to see, like the Stan and Ollie movie or Can I Ever Forgive You, that Benjamin Disraeli or whatever. But I haven't got around to it. But the one something I have seen that I'll just start the like train is the King's Speech. I really like the King's Speech.
Yeah.
I'm not a big royal follower. All those people out there that obsess about the royal family and all that shit. Like
You didn't watch the coronation of
No.
Prince Charles?
No, he only watches funerals because that's his favorite part is when you get less royalty.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I watched that one and I was like, actually I kind of watched it because so many people were talking about it at the same time the Social Network came out. And it was like competing for, this one should be the Oscar nomination for the best picture. It's going to win. And I was like, fuck that. That Social Network movie looks like shit. I'm just going to watch The King's Speech. And I surprisingly loved it a whole lot. Like, I ended up buying it and everything.
It's a great movie.
I loved it too. My favorite part though about that biopic, biopic.
don't care.
No, I'm just kidding. I was more saying sorry for interrupting. My favorite character though in that was actually Jeffrey Rush.
Jeffrey Rush.
Yeah.
So
the teacher.
That's why it didn't jump up on the biopic for me is because the person that the biopic was about was like my second favorite character of it. But I agree with you, Lou.
Yeah.
It was a great movie.
Absolutely.
I think it gets shit on a little bit too much because of the fact that it beat the Social Network for the Oscar. And to be perfectly honest, I think the Social Network got way too much love than it deserved. Another biopic, if we really think think it.
It really is.
And,
And
Lou, did you hate the Social Network?
I didn't watch
Because
it.
I quite enjoy. Actually, I think I enjoy the Social Network more than I like the King's Speech. But they both have their merits. I do enjoy both.
I just think people love the Social Network so much, especially on the critic side of things, that I think it gave the King's Speech a little bit, unfortunately, an undue, kind of screwed it over a little bit.
I also like not just like the drama, but also like the little bit of science behind it, like learning why like he couldn't speak. Like he listened to the recording, he talked and it was fine. He takes it off, listens to the disc. He's like, hey, I can actually do this when I'm not focusing on myself the whole time. And I don't know. I like that part of it. So maybe that's why I didn't really get on board with the Social Network, where that was just all drama. It wasn't really about the science or anything. Because I
have a voice.
Yeah. But yeah,
So what was the movie that you did like there, MussKeg?
Oh, I mean, I had actually a hard time narrowing it down.
We can do a couple honorable
So
mentions
I'm
afterwards.
what I'm gonna do, just to try and keep it easy, is I'm gonna give a biopic that I think is more the traditional biopic of like a life story one that I enjoyed, and then I'm gonna give one that was focused on a certain area. And I'll start with one that I say is my definite favorite is Moneyball, which is the story of the Oakland A's surprising run. I think in like 2001 or somewhere around there. Just a surprising where they used analytics to build the baseball team because they didn't have the money to do it and compete with like the Yankees that were buying all the players. And the reason I consider it a bit of a biopic is because Brad Pitt plays Billy Bean, and it's about Billy Bean building that team and how he went about and doing it.
Yeah, it is his story of how he did how he.
It's a top 5 movie for me all time. I love this. I love the vibe of it. I love the lighting, the darkness, the camera work for it. I love the dialogue. It's got little bits of comedy spliced in here and there, but not too much. I love the background of managing sports. That's one of my favorite things of all time. I just really.
I love the secondary cast like too around him too. Like there's Philip Seymour Hoffman is in there. I love Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, as Art Howe.
Exactly. And
Chris
Pratt as first baseman there.
What's his name?
Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill is
his Oscar nominated performance. That was kind of his breakout as far as like a serious actor.
Serious actor, exactly. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Oh, terrific cast. It's a good movie too. I really like that movie.
Yeah. I know it's got a good feel.
For me, I'm gonna go more the traditional way. Focusing on like one person with my love for a movie. And I mean, I'm country boy, so I love country artists. I love country music. I'm gonna go with "We Walk the Line." Yes, "Walk the Line" it's got Johnny Cash, and I guess you could say it's a bit of June Carter Cash's story too, but definitely like 95% Johnny Cash and like 5% June Carter. But it definitely makes you see the artist in a different light because he wasn't really that good of a guy. Johnny Cash was a dick. He totally
drunk. He was
slept on his
party guy.
Other women with his wife, and he did hard drugs. He was in jail a bunch of times. Like, he wasn't the best guy, and he had a hard relationship with his dad, which he didn't know that, And it's just it's a really good story how he came up with his songs. It wasn't like fucking Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody, the way they came up with their songs in their movie. I actually believed he was actually thinking of how to write his lyrics out, and he didn't want to just be another singer that sang like church hymns and stuff like that, because that was the way people were back then. That's what they sang. It was like a bunch of church music, and he didn't want to do that. So he went about killing a guy. He sang a song about that. So it was great. It's a fantastic movie and great performances with Joaquin Phoenix and Reese Witherspoon, and I love that movie.
I actually haven't seen it. I've seen like snippets here and there, but probably because I'm not a huge country person is why I might have avoided it, but I've heard great things.
And if you like Johnny Cash music, which I know you do, you and your father-in-law, you'll appreciate it. So
cool.
I don't know what you got, Lou, for maybe a wish.
Have you seen it, Lou?
Yeah. No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, there you go.
But I'll start like the wishes. I like basically, unlike you guys, I have like one that I've seen and then 2 wishes. So
okay.
But I'm afraid I might have some crossover, so I'll start with one I'm sure that you guys won't have picked. I don't know if you guys are that familiar with a guy called Rudolf Hess.
No.
Can't say that I do.
So
I thought I was going to say yes to whatever you said, but no.
So Rudolf Hess is actually the guy who physically wrote down Mein Kampf. That's Hitler's book. So when Hitler wrote, Hitler wrote that, or he dictated in jail to this guy who wrote it down, and this was his deputy Führer for like the start of the Nazis. But like his story is so fucking crazy. Like he's got mental issues. Like literally, he's got some psychological things that are wrong with him. But like, he was with the Nazi hype train in Germany at that time going on. He gets replaced and all that. But like he wants to end the war, and he thinks that the Duke of Edinburgh, is like on their side. So like 1943, at the height of the war, he hops in a plane and he flies all the way to fucking Scotland. Like they could have got shot down the whole way and everything, but goes against he was a traitor back in Germany.
Oh.
So he flew all the way there. And he just gets arrested. Then he spends like the rest of his life in jail after like the war crimes and like trials and tribunals and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But he's like lived to be almost 100, and he was in a jail that originally held 600 people, and eventually it was just him, and they wouldn't let him out. Like a 98 or whatever he was, 9-year-old man in jail by himself. But I just thought,
I think that's a cool way to do a Hitler biopic where it's not like focused on the war, where it's focused on how he became who he was. That's a cool.
You could probably get that. Yeah, a studio would probably pick that up because it's not specifically about Hitler. It's about the.
But you don't want to glorify Hitler when you make movies. So.
I just think there's a lot of like these weird places that he ended up in. Like he was part of the riots, the beer hall putsch that Hitler started, and that's how he met the man, and he became to love him and like joined up with the party in prison, and then goes against him, flies his plane, and like I think those are all just crazy things that fucking one guy did all by himself.
I would end it with the Inglourious Bastards ending for Hitler. That's how you do it.
I would
shoot him up in a thief.
I would start it with him in jail by himself and just be like, why is this one old decrepit man in prison by himself? And then like kind of flashback through it.
Yeah. I could totally see it being that way. For sure.
I don't want to go like all World War II stuff because there's Patton and other movies like that. But just his story in general, I thought like he did a lot of crazy shit.
Nice, I like it.
Crazy, yeah. Never would have thought of him because I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you got there, MussKeg, for a wish list?
I'm gonna go with a sad clown, and I had a couple options, but I think a Chris Farley bio.
That was what I thought. I had a crossover. I was gonna no, I'll let them pick that.
I mean, it's a very tragic tale. You could look at like Robin Williams too and do the same thing, but I think Chris Farley had such a short and you could say Jim Belushi, but I grew up in the Chris Farley era, so I'm gonna say Chris Farley.
Yeah, 100%.
I think you could build such a good, happy and tragic story from a movie. I really think you could, and I would not be surprised if maybe somewhere down the line someone wins an Oscar for portraying Chris Farley because he was loved by so many. He did have demons significantly.
Yeah.
The type of ones that we all have when you're not on camera, and you're the ones that you hide. I mean, I know Lou, but really such a tragic story of somebody who's so beloved. And you could, like I said, you could do it with Robin Williams too, but I think, and maybe one of yours as well, but I think Chris Farley, you could do such a condensed version of it and not have to spread it out so long that I
feel like a Robin Williams one is almost inevitable. Like it's going to happen. I'm pretty sure Robin Williams one. I don't know if a Chris Farley one would happen.
Inevitable too, to be perfectly honest.
I could see it happening, but I definitely see a Robin Williams one for sure happening.
Actually,
in the next few years.
Your point, we haven't seen a Jim Belushi one, right? Or John Belushi. So maybe you're right. Maybe that won't happen. But
I think, like you were saying, Chris Farley, I like it as a biopic because then it's like the people that do know him, they know his happy, funny, sunny side.
Growing up from a small town and everything like that,
but there is the dark side that he just was too afraid to show anyone, right? And then also has someone his I don't want to say body shaming, but he felt ashamed of himself. Even if I don't think the fans of him ever were like, he's fat.
He definitely was.
We liked him. We liked him for who he was.
Yeah.
But he had that himself, and I think that's a great topic.
And his strategy was essentially to just make fun of himself in order for people to laugh about it, so that it was like, okay,
out of the joke.
This is funny, so maybe you don't judge me so much for it. Essentially.
Yeah. So something I just want to add on because you mentioned John Belushi, but there was an old actor back in the day, Fatty Arbuckle, is a comedian, and they were going to do a biopic on him. And originally they got John Belushi hooked up to do that role. Of course, he had his drug abuse and stuff, died early. Then they got John Candy for that role, also died early. Just his thing. Then you got fucking Chris Farley. Then it was Louis Anderson, all these big guys, and they're all dying off before the movie can get going. It's still getting worked on now with Preston Lacey from Jackass.
Oh,
so it was going to be Chris Farley's big kind of serious role that he was going to try and reinvent himself as an actor. Never came to fruition, but
unfortunately. I guess I'll do my wish list too. I know I mentioned this one before when we were discussing just amongst ourselves, kind of a wish list that I had personally, because I've always loved his stuff growing up, and I'm talking about Jim Henson. I've always loved the Muppets. I've always loved the movie Labyrinth. I've loved the Ninja Turtles from the 1990s movies. So I always thought that'd be freaking awesome to have a biopic about the guy that manifested all this in his head. Like, and he did the voice work, and he totally changed what puppetry was. Like, people weren't doing puppetry like he was. They weren't doing the comedy. It was always like a. Oh, did we lose Craig here? On my screen, is he still there for you?
No, I need to move because Cass is home. This went a little bit. We can edit this, but
pause.
Cass is home, so I have to go.
Okay, we can hit pause.
Move, so
I'll pause it.
I don't pause. Yeah, like I was saying, just the Muppets. You got Sesame Street. You got Labyrinth. You got the Ninja Turtles.
Fraggles.
And I would just love to see. And who?
Fraggles.
The Dark Crystal. Fraggles. Yeah, Fraggle Rock. Exactly. I would love to see the guy that was the brains behind all this, and even Yoda is still like a Muppet technically. Like Frank Oz doing the voice and all that. So I would love to see the man behind all of this genius. I guess it's kind of like, to me, it's kind of like Walt Disney, but like a smaller version, a lesser version with puppets rather than like animated movies and stuff like that. So yeah, just seeing some sort of a biopic about him and his life and like where he grew up, and just do like a whole lifespan if you can for his movie. It's what I would love to see for Jim Henson, anyways. And then I think Lewis has one more wish list to go for.
Actually, and this one I don't really have a whole lot to say. Like, I know the guy quite a bit, but the part of the movie that I want to know about is like, it sounds like something really erratic happened to his life, and I don't know too much about that. And I'd like to know that backstory. But fucking hell, I just lost his name. Phil Hartman.
Phil Hartman.
Yes.
I don't know exactly. I mean, his wife killed him and killed herself. But like, what was going on there? And like,
drugs. Andy Dick got her addicted to drugs again.
Is that really what something was on it?
Is that something you know? Or
no, it's actually it's a kind of a runny joke, but like John Lovitz and Andy Dick got into a fight because John Lovitz was pissed at Andy for getting Hartman's wife back on drugs.
But yeah, like
I don't see how it's a joke. That sounds pretty brutal.
Yeah, I learned it from a Funhouse episode.
I don't know if he was at like the height of his career when it happened, but he's like, I feel like his career was definitely humming along at that point, anyways.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah, he was getting into movies outside of SNL, which is like the height of. Honestly, when SNL comedy people get into movies from SNL, that's like what I would consider like the height peak almost of their career. Outside of maybe an Adam Sandler or something like that, the ones that keep going for a long time. But
yeah, like, I don't know, just it's a guy who's in a lot of stuff, and you just remember like, oh yeah, he was so good, and he's gone too soon, and just like, why did that all happen? And it always such a haze for me. Like, I like to sit down and actually appreciate a movie detailing what happened.
They should do it in Simpsons style.
Just animated the whole way.
Like an animated Phil Hartman biopic.
Yeah. It could be like Lionel Hutz or something.
Yeah. Well,
or Troy McClure.
Phil Hartman.
Yeah, that'd make more sense, yeah.
Much Phil different than Lionel Hutz or Troy McClure.
Yeah, no, those are great picks. I don't know if you guys have any others you want to just throw out there. Just quickly, we'll be quick. Just ones that you've seen that you liked or didn't like.
I mean, I love the musical Hamilton. I think Alexander Hamilton has a very cool story. Would actually make for a great biopic.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was gonna say, you saying Hamilton was a biopic? Because I don't think it's a biopic.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. It's a musical, but it's not a biopic. If you ask me, it's a musical. So
I know, but I'm just saying, like, they probably take a lot of liberties with that musical.
That's yeah, but they also tell a pretty interesting story. And George Washington was another one that I had. I've never seen a George Washington biopic.
True, yeah.
Which is surprising.
They did Abraham. Right?
Maybe, I do think there was like a made-for-TV miniseries on it, but not like just a movie.
The Simpsons did one.
Yeah. Well, then Phil Hartman's covered too.
Yeah.
Do a duo. Sorry, let me just bring up my notes because there were a couple others that I had noted down. Oh, I thought one that would be interesting would be Heath Ledger as he was developing the Joker character. I thought that could be a cool biopic. You know, obviously ending the way it did.
Yeah, definitely spot in time.
It's twist ending. He doesn't die.
Kobe Bryant, I think, would be a cool biopic. You know, just seeing him come up in the NBA. And lastly, I don't know too much about him, but apparently because he had not lastly, Dave Grohl, I think could be a cool one because he's had some tragedy along his life, and Christopher Lee. I've heard some cool stories about him. So yeah.
I didn't have any more on my list of ones that I want to see. I know one that I do like, and it is a musical as well, is the Rocket Man, the Elton John one. It is definitely a musical, but it does follow his life as well too, and it's got all of his great songs. So I really really enjoyed that one. That one actually surprised me how much I liked it for how it works, because I thought I was gonna like Bohemian Rhapsody, and then I didn't like that, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna like this one, and this one I did. I really liked it. It was much better.
Sorry, I forgot about the ones that we liked. I'll just list them off quickly. I like Lincoln. I really liked that one. Schindler's List was very good. Capote with Philip Seymour Hoffman was awesome. Milk, the Harvey Milk story. It was great. Ray, I'm surprised Ray. That was
I was gonna say that one as well, but
yeah. Anyways,
yeah, for sure.
I'll just say like another. I mean, they're kind of the same thing I want to see out of them, but like another. I guess you call it a band biopic, similar to Queen or something. I'd like to see either or maybe both, but AC/DC and Metallica, because they both lost band members, and I like to see that, you know, the loss and then trying to rebuild aspect. Doesn't like they're very kind of, you know, rock bands similar in that way, but it's just the whole thing. Like I like to see them come back from that. What do you do in that situation?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a cool idea. I actually really like that idea, and especially since I've seen like a Metallica biography, I think you could come up with some great stuff there, specifically. And sorry, one last thing. Speaking of bands,
I won't cut it there.
Sorry, apologies. I'm surprised we haven't seen a John Lennon biopic right now.
Yeah, I could totally.
That's a shocking one, a little bit, but
or even just strictly a Beatles one too. Like I'm surprised that hasn't happened. But I'm going to cut it there. Then I'm going to cut it that time. Where can we find you guys? I'll start with MussKeg. Where can we find you?
Twitch, Twitter, PSN, MussKeg,
and LewisLightning.
The LewisLightning on Twitch.
And I am CountryBoy_9 on Twitch, Twitter, PSN, and on YouTube, where you can also check out me opening up my action figures like this one.
We have to cut it there.
Broadway.
Like 1,000 views on a video.
Go ahead and check out my unboxing, guys, because they're fantastic. Anywho, that's going to do it for Biopics, however you say it. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and check out more of our videos. See you later.
And there's that scene in Australia where Hugh Jackman like pours the water all over himself.
So I know some of us have seen more biopics,
which is surprising.
They did Abraham. Right?
Maybe, you know, I do think there was like a made-for-TV miniseries on it, but not like